You know, when you get behind the wheel of a car, you are responsible for everything that happens with that vehicle. If you cause injury to someone else, you will suffer the consequences for that. I want to talk to you about drinking and driving. Now, of course, you cannot even purchase alcohol or have alcohol in your possession or drink until you're 21 years of age in Virginia. If you are caught with an open container of alcohol in your car, whether it is the guy in the back seat who's 22 or it is you and you are driving the car, you will get a DUI. The driver of a car underage gets a DUI if there's any open alcohol in their car. So keep that in mind. The state law in Virginia says that under 21, we have what they call a no tolerance law. If you have a drug alcohol concentration level in your body that is over 0.02, you are considered intoxicated and you get a DUI. Now they put it at 0.02 because mouthwash can make your BAC go up, but only for a short period of time. So they give you 0.02. If it's more than that, you're going to go to jail, you're going to be tried, and you can do several months in jail. It is also a $1,200 to $1,500 fine, and your license will be suspended for 6 months to a year. It is a very serious offense to have alcohol in your system under the age of 21. You know, as a young person, you know, the brain in a young person does not develop until they're 28 years old, the part of your brain that makes decisions. That's why you have authorities and laws and parents over you. It's for your protection. It's not to keep you from having a good time. It's to keep you from making decisions that don't make sense until you're of age to have the correct decision-making abilities as you age and experience. Do not get in the car with your buddy who has been drinking. He can kill you. You can lose your life like that. Now this is easy for me to stand here and say. It is difficult when you get involved with peer pressure and partying and you're in college and everybody's drinking. It's a very difficult decision to make. This is a decision you have to make before you go to the party. This is a decision you have to make before you're with your buddy. These are decisions that have to be made beforehand so that you can make the right decision, because you can ruin your life. In one moment's bad decision, your life can be changed forever. And I could give you numerous examples of that. But in order to keep from being too heavy, I'll just let you know that in a fraction of a second, remember, a wreck takes 3 seconds. In 3 seconds of time, your life could be changed for the rest of your life. And trust me, there are things worse than death. You don't want to do it. When you drink alcohol, what alcohol does, it is a depressant. It relaxes the muscles in your body so that the fine muscles in your eyes are relaxed to where you cannot focus. So an alcoholic now no longer has the ability to scan the road. An alcoholic will stare straight ahead, and if you're in front of him, he's looking at your taillights and following you. If you suspect the guy behind you has been drinking, he's weaving all over the road, he's driving erratically, do not pull over and park because he's following you. Make a right-hand turn, get off the road, and try to get their driver's license and report them to police. You're doing them a favor in the long run. They could kill somebody or themselves drinking and driving. The absorption levels are different depending on several variables. For one thing, women, their BAC is going to be higher than the average man, the average woman, because the BAC level, or the blood alcohol content level or concentration level, is a measure of how much alcohol is in your body per 1,000 parts of blood. So typically a man has a larger body, more mass, and he is going to have more blood. Therefore, if he drinks a drink and a woman drinks a drink, his blood alcohol content level is going to be lower than the woman's is going to be because he has more blood in his body. Another reason why a man can tolerate more alcohol than a woman is because men's bodies produce an enzyme that breaks alcohol down in their bodies more rapidly than a woman's body does. And another reason is because a woman's fat, naturally, either her fat to muscle ratio is higher than a man's body is, and muscle will absorb a certain amount of alcohol, whereas fat repels it, so it stays in your bloodstream. Now when you drink that first drink of alcohol, your body immediately tries to get rid of it, and it eliminates alcohol. 95% of it is filtered through your liver, which cleanses the blood. Another 5% is going to be perspired out your pores, or you breathe it out. That's why you can take a breathalyzer. It's not like you have the breath of someone that has had a drink. You're actually expelling alcohol out of your breath. When you take that breathalyzer, it's going to measure that BAC, or your blood alcohol content level. It takes your body 1 hour to process one drink. So if you drink one drink, and one drink is considered one beer, 1 6-ounce glass of wine, or 1 shot of liquor. If you have one drink and you sit there for an hour, your liver has processed that to where your BAC is down. But if you go into a bar and you order a drink that's got 3 shots of liquor in it, it's going to take you 3 hours before that's out of your system. You have to realize the amount that you're putting in your body, and you can kill yourself with alcohol. So let me show you this chart. And on this chart, it shows you what your BAC is for the amount of drinks that you've had. And you will notice that a woman's BAC is going to be a slight bit higher than a man's BAC with the same amount of drinks. Let me talk to you about the synergistic effect. If you are drinking alcohol, alcohol is a primary drug. Your body immediately tries to eliminate it, and it deals with alcohol in your system. If you add another drug on top of that alcohol, you get what they call a synergistic effect. It is very dangerous. This is how people OD on drugs. They mix drugs and alcohol, and it has a fatal effect on them. If you're mixing a drug, what happens is most prescription drugs are prescribed assuming that your body is not going to absorb the full prescription. But once you get that alcohol in your system, now the full dose comes into your body, and your body can't handle it. It's called the synergistic effect. You can kill yourself mixing drugs and alcohol. So in America, if you get a DUI, first offense, now the blood alcohol, the legal blood alcohol BAC level for an adult is 0.08. For a person with a commercial driver's license, it's 0.04. And for a teenager under the age of 21, it's 0.02. So if you are stopped and you're asked to take a breathalyzer test, and you refuse to take that test, you've broken the implied consent law, which we talked about in the beginning of this video. You must take that. You must take that BAC. You've already signed your driver's license, and by that you have implied you will consent to that BAC test. If your BAC is over 0.08, you're going to get a DUI charge. That's a first-class misdemeanor. It can be a felony if you have a high BAC and there is injury or death involved in a wreck you're in. That's a felony, and you can do jail time for that. If it's high, so 0.08, you're going to pay the penalties for that. You're going to pay the court cost. You're going to pay an expensive lawyer. And if you want to maintain your job, and you can get a restricted license, because they will allow you sometimes to get a restricted license first offense. Now they passed a law last year, first-time offenders to get a restricted license must install an ignition interlock device on their car. That interlock device requires you to blow into it before your car will start. And as you go down the road, it's going to demand that you blow into it again in order to keep checking you as you are driving. That ignition interlock device is going to cost you up to $1,200 to install and $400 a month to rent. So now you've lost a lot of money. In fact, a DUI, first offense, can cost you $20,000 by the time you figure in all of your lost time at work, your fines and penalties, the reestablishing of your driver's license, which is going to require you to take several classes, one of which is my 8-hour driving class, the suspension of your driver's license for a year. Well, now we're talking about Uber or any way that you want to get around paying for that. The inconvenience of it all, it's going to be 20 grand before you get finished with that first DUI. It's not worth it. As a young person starting out at $20,000, that's a down payment for you on something. Don't do it. As your blood alcohol content raises, the penalties get more severe. So let me read to you what drunk drivers face in other countries, and you'll realize why we still have drunk drivers. In Israel, they do 2 years in jail if they're convicted of drunk driving. Israel often only has one drunk driving case in a year. In Russia, first-time offenders don't drive for 1 year, and second-time offenders, their license is revoked for life. In Malaysia, you're jailed immediately, and if you're married, your wife goes to jail also. In France, they have a 3-year loss of license, 1 year in jail, and a $1,000 fine. In El Salvador, first offense, death by firing squad. In Bulgaria, second offense is execution. In Australia, they publish your name in the paper for 10 days under the title, "He's Drunk and in Jail." In South Africa, if convicted, you face 10 years in jail and a fine of $10,000. In Japan, you get 5 months in jail and a $200 fine. And in Italy, you get 1 year suspended license for first offense, and second offense, 5 years. Within 5 years, the license is revoked for life. So can you see how other countries don't have the drunk drivers we do? Because the penalties are so severe. If you knew you were facing 10 years in jail and a $10,000 fine, you wouldn't drink and drive. But our penalties are becoming stronger and stronger all the time. We have organizations like Mothers Against Drunk Driving that are promoting more severe penalties because they've lost children to drunk drivers. It's not just you that you might kill out here, it's somebody else's child or somebody else's dad that you might kill on the road. You have to take that into consideration. In that case, you're going to do jail time. I mean, you can do 17 years for that. So it just depends. Let me tell you the effects of alcohol psychologically on your body and physiologically too. At 0.02 to 0.06, you're going to be mildly intoxicated and you're going to feel relaxed and euphoric. At 0.07 to 0.08, you're going to be lightheaded, have impaired judgment, be emotional and be legally intoxicated. At 0.09 to 0.1, you are drunk. You have decreased social skills, you're sleepy or tired and feel nauseous. At 0.11 to 0.15, you're sloppy drunk. Inappropriate behavior, loss of coordination, impaired speech, overexpression of emotions. At 0.16 to 0.25, you're very drunk, confused, staggering, and blacking out. At 0.26 or more, you're at the risk of death. You're in a dysphoric mood, you're muscle paralysis, and you're passed out. At that point, you're in danger of death. Now, an alcoholic, what happens with an alcoholic? An alcoholic is, their blood alcohol content is still rising, but as they become addicted to alcohol, it takes more alcohol for them to reach that feeling that they're going for. So they're drinking a whole lot of alcohol, and they're not realizing how much they have in their system. They are drunk, but they have learned to mask the symptoms. They're what you call functioning alcoholics. They've learned to mask the symptoms, and they don't realize that they are as drunk as they are. So they go out and they get in the car, and their blood alcohol level is 0.1, and they're driving down the road, and they're pulled over, and their alcohol level is really high. But they're not aware of it because of that resistance they have to alcohol. Because once you drink that first drink and your liver is filtering it out, the next drink is circulating in your body, raising your BAC in your bloodstream. The second drink now is circulating in your bloodstream, and that's how your BAC is being raised, because the liver can only filter one drink at a time. Now when you go, let me tell you about how long it takes you to sober up. When you wake up, when a person wakes up in the morning and they're hungover, they're still drunk. Do not get in the car and drive. If you drink at 2 o'clock in the morning, you stop drinking, and your blood alcohol level is at 0.2. Now that's really high, you're drunk. At 3 o'clock, when you go to sleep, your alcohol level will be 0.85. At 5 o'clock, after a loss of sleep because you don't sleep well, it's at 0.155. At 9 o'clock, when you get up and get ready to go to class, your BAC is at 0.095. Do not drive. At 10 a.m., you're at risk of a DUI still, 0.08. At 11 o'clock, in the middle of class, your mind is still foggy and you're fatigued, you're at 0.065. At 1 p.m., you're at 0.035. And at 4 p.m., you're sober at last. So it has taken you from 2 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get that alcohol out of your system. So if you wake up, realize you could still be drunk from the night before. That hangover is that alcohol that's still in your system.